He lived like the perfect American neighbor, until one photograph exposed a secret. Life built entirely on lies. What if the man next door wasn't who he claimed to be? What if he was a ghost from Moscow, planted in your city for decades? This is the story of how a single snapshot nearly collapsed a life, a marriage, and a mission. In the summer of 1978, Washington, D.C. was a city of politicians, tourists, and secrets that lived behind closed doors under clean suburban lawns and, occasionally, in the hands of a quiet neighbor who blended in a little too well. When photographer Lisa Chen developed a roll of film for a simple class project, she thought she was capturing everyday life. But one frame, just one, revealed something far more dangerous. A silent exchange, coded gesture, a moment of espionage caught by accident. And that accident would unravel a deep-cover operation years in the making. June 15, 1978. In the dim red glow of her makeshift darkroom, Lisa Chen lifted a dripping sheet of photographic paper from the developer tray and clipped it onto the drying line. The room smelled of chemicals, coffee, and long nights. Her assignment, 24 frames of street life around Washington, D.C., was almost done. Pedestrians crossing M Street, a newspaper vendor calling out headlines, children playing near Dumbarton Oaks. Then she reached frame 17 and froze. Two men stood on a tree-lined sidewalk, angled away from each other, appearing completely unaware of the other's presence. But in the space between them, their hands met for the briefest moment. A silent exchange, subtle, practiced, and almost invisible, captured only because Lisa's shutter clicked 3 times in 2 seconds. She recognized the man in the gray suit instantly. Michael Turner, her quiet neighbor who lived 2 blocks away. The man who coached youth soccer, washed his Chevy every Saturday, and chatted about property taxes at neighborhood watch meetings. A State Department translator with a wife, 2 daughters, and a perfectly ordinary life. Nothing about him ever suggested intrigue. Everything in this photograph did. Lisa pinned the frames to her corkboard and studied them with a magnifying loupe. The body language was too careful, too calm, too perfect, as if the naturalness itself was engineered. Her father, once part of Taiwanese military intelligence, had taught her what real Tradecraft looked like, and this looked exactly like that. Before the story continues, dear viewers, remember, our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support helps us bring you more gripping, true Cold War stories. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. Now let's continue. That evening, while taking out her trash, Lisa saw Turner leave his house at 11 p.m. A time he never, ever broke routine. Dressed in dark clothing, carrying nothing, walking with purpose into the night. The photograph had bothered her. This midnight walk bothered her more. Back in her darkroom, she enlarged frame 17 again. Under high contrast, she could clearly see Turner releasing something small, a roll of film, maybe into the other man's hand. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. Watch the small things. That's where truth hides. Could Michael Turner, the most predictable man in Georgetown, be conducting espionage in broad daylight? Felt impossible. The evidence whispered otherwise. Michael Turner had lived in America for 17 years, presenting the perfect immigrant story. Hired by the State Department for his language skills. A reliable, boring employee who handled unclassified documents and never made waves. What no one knew was that the basement where he developed family photos also hid a shortwave radio, cipher pads, Microdot equipment, all sealed behind a false wall. Michael Turner wasn't real. His true name existed only in Moscow Center files. Mikhail Volkov. Born 1935, Leningrad. Recruited by the KGB at 19. Trained 6 years for deep cover operations. Inserted into the United States with a flawless Hungarian refugee legend. His mission wasn't to steal classified documents, it was to collect context, office politics, influential figures, negotiation patterns, subtle American weaknesses. Information that, over time, was more valuable than any single secret. Lisa started carrying her camera everywhere. June 22nd, Eastern Market. Turner bought vegetables like any normal shopper, except for the tiny chalk mark he left on a mailbox. She captured it in 4 frames. June 29th, Meridian Hill Park. Turner left a folded newspaper on a bench. 28 minutes later, a stranger picked it up. Lisa photographed every second. Her darkroom wall soon held 17 images, each one a puzzle piece of espionage. July 8th, Alexandria Bookstore. Turner browsed shelves for 40 minutes. 2 books returned to their place with identical colored bookmarks. 1 book purchased without any. She saw the pattern. Her roommate saw the wall of photos and demanded answers. Her boyfriend accused her of paranoia and stalking. He left. Lisa didn't care. Something real, something dangerous was unfolding. And she was the only one who noticed. On July 12th, Lisa made her decision. This wasn't a photography project anymore. It was espionage. She gathered her best 40 photographs, added her notes, and walked straight into the FBI Washington field office. The receptionist was skeptical. Many concerned citizens had walked in with imaginary conspiracies. But when she laid out her evidence with precision, someone made a phone call. Special Agent David Klov arrived. He studied the photos silently, expression unreadable. But as he reached the chalk mark photograph, something changed. He checked a file, then looked back at her with new intensity. The FBI had suspected Turner since 1975, but found nothing. Lisa's photos exposed what trained surveillance teams had missed for years. Klov asked if she would continue observing Turner under FBI guidance. Lisa agreed. She walked out with a new burden. Her photographs had just triggered a federal counterintelligence operation. Operation Lens began the next morning. Warrant applications, technical surveillance, mail intercepts, hidden microphones in Turner's office, phone taps in his home. Lisa continued photographing him, maintaining her cover as a friendly neighbor. She even attended a barbecue at his house, smiling at the wife and daughters whose lives were about to break apart. For weeks, Turner behaved as the perfect family man. The microphones heard nothing suspicious. Conversations were about homework, groceries, and weekend plans. But on August 29th, Turner requested archival agricultural documents, data that, when aggregated, revealed U.S. food security vulnerabilities. Exactly the kind of material Moscow wanted. On September 3rd, Lisa captured Turner visiting a stone marker in Rock Creek Park. FBI agents recovered a hidden film canister beneath the stone, containing microdots of the documents he had photographed. The case was now airtight. On September 22nd, Turner called in sick, his first unscheduled absence in 4 years. It was the signal. FBI teams followed him to Baltimore through perfect counter-surveillance maneuvers. Inside the National Aquarium, Turner made a flawless brush pass with a handler in a brown jacket. Agents closed in. Turner tried to walk away calmly. Then he ran. Agents tackled him near the jellyfish exhibit while families screamed and scattered. The handler escaped, later identified as KGB officer Viktor Lasovsky. Turner was arrested. His American life ended where sharks circled behind glass. In interrogation, the mask fell. Michael Turner disappeared. Mikhail Volkov finally surfaced. He confessed everything except betrayal. He insisted he had only served the country of his birth. But when he learned his daughters had been taken by federal agents for questioning, he broke down completely. His family had no idea who he really was. Barbara Turner learned the truth in a separate room filled with evidence. Her husband wasn't Michael. Their marriage wasn't real. Her life had been a construction of meticulous lies. Her daughters, Jennifer and Amy, crumpled under the weight of it. Neighbors avoided them. Parents requested classroom transfers. Friends disappeared. Barbara divorced him in October. The house sold below market value. They moved to Richmond. The past followed them anyway. United States versus Mikhail Volkov opened February 12, 1979. The prosecution used Lisa's photographs as the foundation. Volkov's confession played in the courtroom. The jury deliberated 6 hours. The judge sentenced him to 40 years in federal prison. Volkov apologized only to his family. He expressed no remorse for espionage. The judge told him his greatest crime wasn't spying, but stealing the lives of the people who loved him. Viktor Lisovsky fled the country within days. Moscow celebrated him. Lisa received a commendation she didn't want. She never photographed street life again. Her darkroom remained dark. Some spies are caught through months of surveillance, intelligence leaks, or intercepted communications. But this one, he was undone by a photographer who noticed a moment the world wasn't meant to see. The man known as Michael Turner vanished into a prison cell. Lisa Chen put down her camera forever, and the truth behind The Perfect Neighbor was finally exposed. If you want more real spy stories from the shadows, don't forget to subscribe. Because in the world of espionage, the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened.